What's up, good friends? Welcome back to another episode of Finance Friday. As per usual, I am your host, Coach Susan, and I'm really glad to have you guys back here. Now, time and time again on this platform, I have said that investing should be a lifestyle and not an event, which ideally means that instead of us waiting to get big lump sums, amounts of money, and to wait for deals in order for us to invest, the goal and what I try to coach and train my clients is to invest consistently every month. Small amounts add up and compound interest does its thing. And shortly before you know it, you have begun a very sustainable journey towards wealth creation. Now, today's episode is gonna just be very quick and sweet because I want to plug you guys onto 5 investments that you can make if you only have 5,000 bob to spare every month. Remember, the goal is to invest monthly, not to wait until you have big lump sums, but to invest on a monthly basis and to build an investment portfolio with as little as 5,000 bob every month. So if you'd like to get some pointers or ideas on what these investments are, keep watching. So the first investment is the fixed income funds. Now, fixed income funds fall under a bigger umbrella, which is what we refer to here in Kenya as unit trust funds. And most of these unit trust funds will be found in investment companies and even insurance companies. Now, a fixed income fund, and why I absolutely love fixed income funds is because they're an amazing alternative or a good investment to give you exposure to especially treasury bonds. Okay? Now, normally, if you want to invest in treasury bonds, especially here in Kenya, the bare minimum amount is 50,000. However, if you go through unit trusts, and you open this account that we are calling a fixed income fund, some companies will refer to it as a fixed income fund. Others will refer to it as a bond fund because the underlying asset is actually treasury bonds and corporate bonds for some companies. You're pretty much able to expose your money to the bonds market without necessarily having to look for example, for 50,000 Kenya shillings, all right? Now, as I said, I know you guys are very curious, where do you find this particular investment? Most insurance companies and investment companies that have unit trust products have one of the offers as the fixed income fund. And it's an amazing product that, exposes your money to the bonds market. Ideally, how they work is that the company pulls money from different investors. They have Susan's money, Njoroge's money, 50,000 or 100,000 other Kenyans' money who've invested in the fund. So, they pull that money and then they sit down with their investment analyst and they discuss exactly what kind of bonds, either treasury bonds or corporate bonds, to invest in. The beauty of this particular investment is that for most companies, you can actually put your money or invest with as little as 5,000 and below. My 2 favorite fixed income funds are the Sanlam fixed income fund that you can invest with as little as 2,500 bob. You could also check out like the CIC fixed income fund that you can invest with as little as 5,000 Kenyan shillings. So you might want to check out. These are just recommendations and suggestions I keep saying on this platform. Ensure you do your due diligence and you understand the particular investment. But that is one of the most, or rather the easiest way for you to penetrate into the bonds market. So many times I talk to clients and I tell them, you can invest in bonds even when you do not have 50,000, 1 million, and most of them do not believe me. And the fixed income fund is how to do that. So you're able to invest with as little as 2,500 or even 5,000 bob, or even more if you get more. But no one restricts you must do it at 50,000 Kenyan shillings. So they are able to allow you to invest from such a low entry point because it is a what we call a collective investment scheme. It's pooled money. So when they pull money from different investors, they're investing in the millions, right? So you're able to become part of that group of people who benefit from the returns that they make. So they invest in corporate bonds, treasury bonds, and then once they make the return, now the return is actually paid to the clients of that particular fixed income fund. The risk profile of this particular investment is low to medium risk. It's not a very high risk investment. And when you're doing your research, you will realize that some companies do guarantee capital preservation under that fund, while others do not. So please make sure that you ask all the due diligence questions that you need to understand before you make the decision to proceed. But fixed income funds are an amazing way to expose your money to the bonds market with under 5,000 Kenya shillings. The second kind of an investment that you can do on a monthly basis with as little as 5,000 Kenya shillings is REITs, the real estate investment trusts. Now, this is also an example of a collective investment scheme where a fund manager pulls money from different investors, but in this case, the money is invested in real estate projects, specifically income-generating real estate projects. Now, if this is the first time you're hearing me talk about real estate investment trusts, you are either new or you've been sleeping on this channel, because I have done a video, a very in-depth descriptive video on what real estate investment trusts are, why you shouldn't sleep on them, and how they work. So I'm going to link it down below. So if you're new and you've not heard about them, I'd recommend you start with that, with this video first, the one that you can see on the screen right now, but it's also linked down in the description box to understand what real estate investment trusts are and how they work. The beauty of this is because you guys know my opinion on waiting until Jesus comes back and saving until you get that first 900,000 or 1 million or 1.5 million to buy an idle piece of land that you do not know whether you have the capability to develop or not. And for me, I'm very, very big on passive income, and I'm very, very big on my investments earning me, or rather generating me a return as soon as possible. So real estate investment trusts pretty much allow you to invest in real estate projects that are already income generating. So most of these companies that offer real estate investment trusts already have buildings. Like a good example is what VUCA are doing with the Acorn Real Estate Investment Trust, where they own student accommodation buildings. These buildings are already ready. They are occupied. They collect rental income, and that rental income is usually shared. So once they calculate all their revenue, they less their expenses, and they figure out what the profit is. They share now that profit with the investors of that project, and that profit is shared as annual dividends to all the investors of that particular project. So it is an amazing way to expose your small coins, as little as 5,000 bob every month, to the real estate market, and to do it in such a way that within the first year, you've already started earning dividends. So it's like an income. It's a way to invest in real estate with very little money, and in a way that generates you passive income in the form of dividends. Now, an exciting thing maybe I need to mention about real estate investment trusts is that by law, they are actually required to pay a minimum of 80% of their profits to investors. So, it's almost always guaranteed that as long as the company remains profitable, then you should ideally be able to receive your annual dividend. So I would not sleep on real estate investment trusts. I would put aside a budget, 5,000 bob or less every month, to build a real estate investment portfolio with real estate investment trusts. The third investment you need to be doing, if you can spare 5,000 bob every month, is personal pension funds. And I'm looking at you. I'm seeing some of you rolling your eyes right now. Listen, hear me out. Retirement planning is pretty much the most underrated investment. And so many of us watching me right now who have already lucrative careers, unfortunately, will grow old poor because of ignoring this whole conversation around retirement planning. One of the things I keep telling people is that when you look at the statistics, especially when you read Kenyan statistics. According to a study that was done by ISPAC, actively working people who have, lucrative careers here in Kenya, around 78% of us will retire poor because we don't run the math. We do not run the numbers of how exactly, or rather how expensive it is to retire comfortably. We complain of black tax, which is, something that we go through having to support our elderly parents or even some of our siblings because they, African parents, some of them have a tendency to treat their children as their retirement plan. Now, one of the things I always tell people is that one of the most important investments that you can make, especially if you're watching me and you're listening to me and you're in your 20s and 30s, the biggest advantage you have is one of time. You have so much time, which means that you just get to contribute very little money right now to become a millionaire in your 50s and in your 60s and have a portfolio that is good enough that you can live off of it. Whether your farming is working or not, whether business is working or not, you've built a portfolio in the millions by the time you're in your 50s and 60s in such a way that it can pay for your basic necessities without you having to actually depend on anyone. Now, I have a very in-depth video on personal pension funds, and why I need you to watch this video right here, it's linked down below. It's because I've done for you calculations to show you exactly how much this would look like if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s. I've even done a calculation to show you what you'd be dealing with if you wait until you're in your 40s and 50s to begin investing towards a retirement fund or a pension fund. I've given all the tea. Believe me, you guys know I don't get keep. So please watch that. Majority of these Kenyan personal pension funds or retirement funds usually are found in, most of them are actually found in insurance companies or some fund management companies, and the bare minimum amount for most, if not all of them, is just 1,000 bob Kenya shilling. So that is an investment that you can do with 5,000 bob per month or even lower. So please prioritize that. If you have some 5,000 bob to spare, and even if you're employed, if you watch the video that I'm going to link down below under pension funds, you will actually see for yourself that some of us who are employed and we think we are safe because we have NSSF or an employer deducts us 2K, 4K, however much, we are safe. When you run the numbers, you might realize the need to supplement what your employer is already doing. If you're like me and you're your own employer, so you're a freelancer or you run your own business, you need to actually set this up. And the beauty of it is that you set it up the same way you would set up like just a normal money market fund. And you can also check out some of the best pension funds, that I've seen. We have like Prudential here in Kenya have a very good fund. GA Insurance have a very good fund. I've seen, for example, ICA Insurance are very good in terms of pension products. We even have Kenindia. Kenindia is one of the longest standing personal pension funds or pension funds that I know here in Kenya. So you can check them out as you do your due diligence if you're trying to figure out where are some of the places that you can invest and put your retirement fund or pension fund money. The fourth investment that you can do with as little as 5,000 bob every month is investing in balanced funds. Now, this is a really interesting investment, and I'll tell you why I like it. It's because it offers exposure to what I call, all the three major asset classes. Now, just like the first fund we discussed, the fixed income fund, balanced funds also fall under the bigger umbrella of unit trust funds, okay? So most unit trust products, as I said earlier on, are found in insurance companies, fund management companies. Sometimes I've seen even some banks are starting to introduce this investment product. You might want to check them out. Now, a balanced fund, and the reason why it excites me, it's called balanced for a reason. It's called balanced because the way they diversify. So remember we talked about fixed income funds as the first investment. Your money, they pull money money from different investors, collect a big lump sum, and then invest that money in bonds. That is in the case of the first investment that we discussed. Now, this balance fund, it's still the same way. They pull money from different investors, but this time around, the money is distributed towards 3 major asset classes. And we've talked about this. So anyone who's been on this channel long enough, you know the 3 major asset classes. We have fixed income assets, where we find our government bonds, our corporate bonds. We have equities. This is where we get our stocks or our shares. And then we have cash and cash equivalents. This is where we now get our short-term, less than 1 year kind of investment. So liquid investments like your money market fund instruments, right? And this is ideally how balanced funds work. So you would ideally get that maybe in this month they've collected 10 million from investors. You'll find that maybe 50% of the money has been invested in fixed income assets, so that is your bonds, and then 30% of the investor money has been diversified into equities, that is shares in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and then 20% maybe has been left in some well-negotiated for bank deposits, so that you can actually be able to have liquidity for the people who would want to withdraw their investment. So I like this investment because it's a good addition to someone who already has something like a money market fund. So if you have an MMF, and I get this question a lot. People ask me, Coach, if I already have a money market fund for my emergency funds, for my savings and all of that, and I would like to do something else, but I don't have 100,000, 50,000 to do in these really big investments like the bonds and the bills, what else can I do? You can actually add, on top of your MMF, you can add the balanced fund. I've even seen some companies, have a balanced fund of some sort where 60% of the money is exposed to the bonds market and then 40% to equities. Now that 40% or whichever percentage the company allocates to equities, the investment analysts employed by that company sit and go through the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and they realize, oh, KCB is doing so well as a share, Stanchart is doing so well as a share, EABL, British American Tobacco, is doing so well as a share. So what they do is that they choose what they consider the best performing stocks in the stock market, right? And then they purchase them and, they put it as part of the portfolio. So it's an amazing investment, kind of like a good way to enter real investing, because now your money is being exposed to bonds, it's been exposed to shares. But remember, you're not the one handling that headache. Your job is to top up your 5,000, your 10,000 every month, or your 1,000 every month, and grow your portfolio. But ideally, the underlying asset, you would know. Of course, when you log into your dashboard, you'll just say my balanced fund is growing, or my balanced fund portfolio is this X amount of money. But at the back of your mind, you should know that it's called a balanced fund because of the underlying assets we've mentioned. That is ideally where your money is being exposed. One of the best balanced funds I've seen here in Kenya is also the Sanlam Balanced Fund. But you can also check out, I know ICA have a balanced fund, and so many of these unit trust funds that we have here in Kenya actually have the balanced fund option. And you will see majority of them, for you to open an account, you just need 5,000 bob, and some of them even topping up is as little as 1,000 bob, or slightly maybe even more. And the goal here is to begin to put a little at a time and to grow your portfolio over a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year period, so that you can begin to see growth in some of these funds. Now, the risk attached to this investment, I would say it is a medium risk investment, because as you can see, it's a mix of low risk investments like cash and equivalents, bonds and bills, and then also high risk investments, which are your equities or your shares. So I would not recommend investing in this company if you're the kind of people that wake up one day, you realize a decline in the value of your portfolio and you're panicking, getting heart attacks or a brain aneurysm. We don't need to be taking you to hospital, okay? So you need to understand a balanced fund does not guarantee your capital. What does that mean? If the markets are doing so well, these underlying markets, the bond market, the stock market, you will notice an increase in the value of your portfolio in the balanced fund. However, if for one reason or the other, like during COVID, markets were plummeting, you will also realize a steady decline. So I don't need you coming to my emails or my on my DMs telling me company X walinibia pesa, they stole my money. I had 80,000 and now it's 60, and they cannot justify where the rest of the money went. Baby girl, we're not doing that, okay? You need to understand, as I told you guys, you need to understand the investment, the risk associated with the investment, and whether it guarantees capital preservation or not. So a balance fund will not guarantee you capital preservation. So as you know, as I've just explained, if markets are doing well, you'll see an increase in the value of your portfolio. If markets are not doing so well, you will see a decrease in the value of your portfolio. But it's an amazing investment to wet your feet if you're trying to invest beyond the money market funds and you just have 5,000 bob left to spare. Finally, you guys know my favorite. Another avenue you can invest your money if you just have 5,000 bob and below to put aside for investing per month are money market funds. I did not start with them, but I don't know why you thought they would not feature here. Money market funds will always feature when I'm talking about investments that you can make if you have, just as little as 5,000 bob every month. And the reason why I will forever talk about money market funds is because I genuinely believe that is it should be the first investment that you make. If you're someone who is a recovering, fearful person of investing. So all your life you've just known banks. All your life you've just known putting your money in mobile money, M-Pesa. All your life all you've known is doing a circle. And you just want to know, I just want to start from scratch. Which is the best avenue to start? I would highly recommend that you begin with money market funds. Why I absolutely love money market funds is because you kill two birds with one stone. You're able to save. Saving is capital preservation, but at the same time, you're also able to invest because investing is capital multiplication. So because money market funds guarantee capital preservation, in other words, even with fluctuating interest rates, your capital is guaranteed that it will remain safe. It's a savings of some sort. But then now these savings are also earning you interest. Most of them range anything between 11 to 14%, maybe even higher sometimes because interest rates change on a daily basis. So because you're earning interest on those savings, if you leave the money untouched, undisturbed for even a year or two, believe me, you will see such an improvement in the value of your portfolio. As I told you guys, money market funds for me are the place where I started my journey and my investment journey. I would top up regularly, religiously. Most of them opening is 5,000 bob and below, and even topping up on a monthly basis. You can do it with as little as 1,000 bob. They're an amazing starting point to number one. Start your, financial freedom journey. And we said that a financial freedom journey starts with setting up an emergency fund. So that's your first, the first bus stop to your financial freedom journey. So you want to use money market funds to save up for your emergency fund or your cushion in case anything happened to your job or your ability to make an income. And then, of course, you are going to probably use them to save up for projects like school fees for this year, home development projects, travel insurances, and whatnot. And one of the other favorite things I love about money market funds is I can use them as an avenue to accumulate money for other types of investing. So like I remember my first bond, I bought it because of a money market fund because I put money in an MMF until I reached my 100K, 150K. Then I withdrew that money and bought the bond with it. Yeah, so you can also use it as an avenue to accumulate money for other bigger, more audacious, scarier types of investments, like the big ones that require hundreds of thousands or millions. Kwani utakuwa una accumulate your pesa wapi? Don't put it in a bank. We said banks should only have money that you plan to transact this month and next month. The rest of it needs to be working for you. So I'm also going to link down a video down below. I've done a money market funds crash course. Everything you need to know about MMFs is in that video, and some of the recommendations that I give, I've also mentioned them towards the end of that video so that you can learn. So guys, those are the 5 investments that I believe you can and you should take advantage of if you can spare at least 5,000 bob monthly. As a disclaimer, I keep telling people, number one, do your due diligence on this channel. I keep saying, ensure you understand the investment, ensure you understand the company, ensure the company is licensed and registered, ensure that when you're reading reviews and researching, the company actually has a good reputation. Okay, and check on all of those things. But most importantly, 5,000 bob per month means you're committing every month an X amount of money. That's just the bare minimum, but you can always do more. One of the things I love about all the investments I've mentioned, none of them limits you to a maximum amount of money. What they'll just limit you is a minimum amount of money for topping up, and that is pretty much like 1,000 bob. So one of the reasons I've recommended all these 5 is because they are self-paced. Sasa ni wewe ujitume. If you get 5,000 bob and that's what you can afford every month, you do that. But if for one reason or the other God blesses you and you get more and you can do 10, 15, 100,000 every month, that is the goal. My assignment for you is that we are done with excuses. We don't do excuses on this channel. The little that you can get, begin to build up on that and make investing a lifestyle. Now, if you are already at a point where you have the capability, the money and the cash flow to want to even do way more than that 5,000 bob, and you would like to get into an in-depth class and a deep dive into the investment space in Kenya. If you're a Kenyan in the diaspora wondering, how can I invest? What other options are there? Or if you just want to attend a class that I've personally taught and I break down this and many other investments, I have a self-paced basics of investments class. A self-paced class means that I've already pre-recorded the videos, okay? So you are buying a class you can watch at any time, regardless of your location. And we really took time to curate this class. I pre-recorded it as I was training a group of people, and we went through different investments available here in Kenya. It's 8 hours worth of investment classes. In that class, I go in depth talking about the investments I've mentioned and many more, including foreign currency investing here in Kenya. So if you want to know about dollar money market funds, dollar fixed income funds, how you should even think about diversifying and creating a portfolio for yourself, please check out the basics of investment class. It is a self-paced, pre-recorded class, 8 hours worth of class. You get to have lifetime access to this content. So once you actually pay for it, you log into the Legacy Hub Academy, which is where you're going to be watching these classes from. You will have lifetime access to this content, and you will also get to see some of the questions the people who attended the classes. There's a Q&A feature, so even as you watch the classes and you have a personalized question or a follow-up question, you just have to post it in your dashboard in the academy, and I'm going to take time and actually respond to you and guide you through that Q&A feature to be able to answer all your questions. So the basics of investment class is found in the Legacy Hub Academy, and I'm going to link it down in the description box down below if you're interested to go a step further and invest in your financial literacy to learn everything there is to know about investing in the Kenyan landscape. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Please share this video with your friends and family members. We are spreading the message of financial literacy. And until the next time we meet, stay safe.